What is up, flag football peeps? Welcome to the Biokats weekly flag football podcast. Here's your week 9 playoff recap of flag football action in both 5A and 4A in the beautiful state of Colorado. I'm your host, Coach Pitz. I coach basketball and flag football at Legend High School in Parker. Special thanks to our producer who's always out there providing visibility for female recruits in basketball and flag football, Jerry Howard with Biokats. Let's congratulate your Denver Broncos flag football coach of the week, Rebecca Hopak, head coach for Northfield. She's guided the Nighthawks into the Sweet 16 this year. And on that note, we have quickly gone from 70 teams playing flag football in both classes to 40 making the playoffs, to 32 playing on Saturday morning, to 16 playing Saturday night, and now 8 teams surviving the Final Four in 5A. And the Final Four in 4A are set. Let's recap the playoffs so far. In opening round action on Tuesday and Wednesday, Dakota Ridge takes down Palmer 12-8. Golden ends the season for Eagle Ridge Academy, winning 18-6. Littleton edges Ponderosa 13-7. And the Steamboat Springs Sailors come up with 4 interceptions to take down Regis Groff 32-6. Naomi Baumgartner with 2 interceptions and a touchdown for Steamboat. In 5A first round action, we had 1-score games in 3 of the 4 games as teams are fighting to make the Sweet 16. Horizon and Thunder Ridge battle to a 13-7 Hawks win. Chatfield overcame an early deficit to Poudre 15 to upset Poudre 15-14. I say upset because the seeding is 20 versus 13, but I can promise Poudre did not take this 2013 matchup lightly. I continue to be impressed with Poudre Jr. quarterback Brooke Pravlik. Strong arm, great mobility, but Chatfield's defense is tough. Ellie Buck picks off 2 passes. Ella Wood can cover some distance. She breaks up 5 passes to help Chatfield survive and advance. North Glen with an impressive performance to beat Columbine 21-12. Caitlin Fujinami passes for 216 yards and runs for 73. Evelyn James catches 100 of those and 2 scores, and she picks off a pass. North Glen bends but doesn't break in this game. Carol Martinez Tiscareno is tiny but ferocious as she has a dozen tackles. For the Rebels, Ella Reban's career ends with 222 all-purpose yards, and she intercepts 1 last pass. More on her big season in a bit when we review the season's best. The last Sweet 16 spot goes to Doherty. They hang on late to eliminate Legacy 25-21. Sparty's had a shutdown defense all year, and it's no surprise to see them advance. Saturday was a mother load. 4A Sweet 16 action. Number 2 Mountain View takes care of 15 Littleton 44-0 in the 7-10 game. It's Air Academy. They beat Mullen 14-7. Air Academy improved a ton throughout the season. Pomona sends Steamboat Springs back up the hill 32-12. Manuel cruises past George Washington 32-6. Brooke Hunter goes down swinging with 10 tackles, 2 interceptions, and a touchdown for the Patriots. Air Academy then faced Mountain View in the 7 versus 2 game. Mountain Lions dominate as they look to defend their title. It's a 33-6 win to advance to their 2nd straight Final Four. And Manuel had a good season, but they are no threat to Pomona. The Panthers are in the Final Four with a 48-6 performance. On the other side of the bracket, in the Sweet 16, number 1 seed, the Classical Academy. They shut out Dakota Ridge 34-0. In the 8-9 game, Elizabeth earns their way into the Great 8, beating Monarch 18-12. Olivia Nelson explodes for a 65-yard punt return score. Madeline Franklin with 10 tackles. Lacey Antonora throws touchdowns to Olivia Nelson and Cody Bauer, plus 63 yards to Emma Gould. Green Mountain left no doubt against Golden. The Rams advanced 50-6. Denver North survived a tough Vista Ridge team 14-12. They did not have much time to enjoy that win. None of the great 8 games were close. We've been saying for weeks that 4A has 4 teams with a chance. All 4 cruise into the Final Four. TCA beats Elizabeth 34-0. So 2 34-0 wins in one day. Green Mountain shuts out Denver North 40-0. And your final four for 4A is set. It's TCA versus Green Mountain. Elite quarterbacks Kelsey Peterson versus Savannah Plumley, senior versus freshman. And Mountain View versus Pomona. Kira Knowles versus Jay Cordova, sophomore versus senior. We had much more competitive games in 5A on Saturday. Huge day. Huge. Mountain Vista versus Verizon was not one of those more competitive games, at least not after the 6-0 first quarter. Vista then alternates touchdowns on offense with interceptions on defense. They win 46-14. Ariana Akey throws 7 touchdowns, 3 to Braylon Looney, 2 to Lauren Culebro. Kaylee Besh grabs 2 interceptions for Vista to help them blow this one wide open. But the 8 versus 9 game was a toss-up. Number 3 in the Continental, Douglas County, versus number 1 in the Centennial, Grandview. In a dogfight, it's Wolves over Huskies 13-0. It's not easy shutting down a Jillian Cabral-led offense, but Grandview's defense has been locked in this year. Congrats to the Wolves for advancing to the Great 8. Ralston Valley is the 4 seed. They take on Chatfield and pull away late, 29-6. This would set up a great 8 matchup between the winner of an absolute thriller between Valor, Christian, and Cherry Creek. These schools clearly love one another. Creek makes one more play than Valor and wins it 40-32. I was in the other stadium a few blocks away, so I don't have a ton of information on that game, but what a battle. Mountain Vista then faced Grandview in the nightcap, and the Wolves were able to do something almost no one else has done, and that's intercept Akey twice and make her a little bit uncomfortable. She still throws for 4 touchdowns, racks up 335 all-purpose yards to help the top-seeded Golden Eagles clinch a spot in Wednesday's Final Four. Earlier in the night games, Ralston Valley and Cherry Creek did work. It was all offense for Creek versus Valor. In Creek versus RV, the defenses shined to combine for 6 interceptions. Ashlyn Callahan is clutch for Ralston Valley, scoring 2 touchdowns and picking off a Cherry Creek pass. RV survives 27-25, and the Mustangs clinch their first Final Four appearance to make it happen. Their first Final Four appearance for RV. On the flip side of the bracket, number 15, North Glen is no match for number 2 seed Arvada West. It's a 38-0 Wildcat win, but Chaparral and Rock Canyon battled down to the last minute. RC threatened early, driving all the way down the field, and Paige Fink stops the drive with an interception. Shap then drives all the way down, and Sophie Bonstetter kills the drive with an interception. Bonstetter is a name you're going to hear a ton in the next 2 years. She made athletic catch after athletic catch. Rock Canyon drives deep into the red zone when Sutton Persikina jumps a flat route and returns it 35 yards for Shap. 3 plays later, Paige Fink turns the corner on a short crosser for a 45-yard score, and Shap leads 7-0 at the half. Haley Reynolds leads an impressive third-quarter drive to help RC tie it. After a Shap punt, RC drives down with a chance at the lead, and Sophie Matthews makes a diving 4th down end zone interception. I mean, she extended. She went for it aggressively. One of probably 10 interceptions on the day for Shap between those 2 games. Their defense has a swagger right now. Fast forward to 4th and 7 with 1:31 to play. In a foreshadow of Shap's night game, Zoe Fink finds Salem Sherman on a fade route for the lead, 13-7. Sydney Matthews makes one final interception to seal it. Even with a couple of interceptions, Zoe Fink still completes 24 of 29 passes. Paige Fink, 8 catches, 8 tackles, and a great 8 for the Wolverines. Number 3 seed Legend to face the impressive defense that Doherty brings to the table. The Titans started out hot. Smolin spelled backwards is precise. The senior quarterback goes 17 for 22, 305 all-purpose yards and 5 total touchdowns. Freshman Braylon Hills gets the scoring going and with a 34-yard catch. Senior Lucy Thompson keeps it going with 2 touchdowns. Captain Molly Larson finds the end zone, and Legend rolls 32-12. Denver South had no trouble advancing past a shorthanded Northfield. With Ali Garcia out, it was tough sledding for the Nighthawks. South wins 42-0, and the stage was set for the number 2 versus number 7 grade 8 matchup between Arvada West and Chaparral. A West has been great this year, but not as unstoppable as last season. The defenses trade interceptions early. Sydney Matthews again for Shap gets a pick. Freshman Vivian Brankert for A West gets a pick. On the very next play, Emerson Drake's pass is deflected off of a receiver's hands into Chloe Petrillo's hands, and she returns it to the 2-yard line. Shap goes up 7-0. It's way too early to think about an upset, right? But later in the second quarter, Fink rolls out and hits Sydney Matthews for a 17-yard touchdown pass. Now it's 13-0. Hadley Puglisi for the Wildcats grabs a pick before the half, but A-West is not able to take advantage. Shap up 13-0 at halftime. It was a third quarter full of 3 and outs until Sydney Matthews steals another interception on a deep ball down the middle. Puglisi then picks off a halfback pass. A West had chance after chance, and Shap's defense held firm. Brianna Balcher picks off a pass in the flats. Sydney Matthews picks off another deep ball. Shap's pressure then forces one last interception, this one by Brianna Balcher, and the Wolverines pull off the upset with a 20-0 statement win over last year's runners-up. And the final 4 spot, the last one, would go to the Denver South or Legend winner. On the game's second play, Raya Matoush steps in front of a Ravens pass to give Legend an early advantage that they would not lose. It was the first of 2 interceptions for standout linebacker, volleyball recruit, basketball recruit Raya Matoush, along with 12 flag pulls. Titans beat Denver South 32-6. Smolin, another 253 yards passing. She finds Lucy Thompson for a score, and sophomores Presley Easley and Jada Ryder for touchdowns. Thompson takes a punt 58 yards to the house to seal the second straight Final Four for the Titans. So your Final Four this Wednesday: Mountain Vista versus Ralston Valley, Ariana Akey versus Kaylin Corcus, senior versus senior, Legend versus Chaparral, Maddie Smolin versus Zoe Fink, senior versus sophomore. I mentioned the quarterbacks because you just simply don't get to this point in the season in today's game with unrestricted rushing from 1 yard off the line of scrimmage without elite quarterback play. Go to Jeffco on Wednesday to see these teams fight for the chance for a championship on Saturday. Hey, let's shout out your leaders in a few categories, and we will do more next week. I'm going to start out with your regular season passing leaders. Next week, we're going to do all-purpose yards, but for passing leaders, this is the regular season, so some of these players combined with the playoff stats are already north of 4,000 yards. But Faith Prinzo in the regular season, almost 3,900 yards, completing 75% of her passes, 44 touchdowns, 14 picks, 116 passer rating. Same passer rating for Maddie Smolin, almost 3,600 yards, 56 touchdowns for Smolin and 14 interceptions. Ariana Akey, 3,400 yards, 73 touchdowns, plus what she did with her feet, and 7 interceptions. I mentioned Grandview picking her off 2 times, so that puts her up to 9. Almost no one else has done that, but she finishes the regular season 122 passer rating. Kelsey Peterson is elite. I can't wait to see that matchup with them and Green Mountain in the Final Four. 3,300 yards, 57 touchdowns, and 17 picks, a 93 passer rating. Zoe Fink, 3,200 yards, 49 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions, 114 on the rating. Crazy numbers for these guys. Emerson Drake, 3,200 yards. She is just a sophomore. She had an 87 passer rating as a sophomore in the loaded conference that they play in. Kaylin Corkus, speaking of, 94 passer rating. Savannah Plumley, 2,800 yards throwing. We'll talk about her on the rushing side. It's around 1,100 yards. She's a 4,000-yard kid. 93 passer rating. Caitlin Fujinami had a tough end to the season, but a great year. 105 passer rating. Sailor Slaughter was a human highlight reel. She throws 19 touchdowns, passes for 2,500 yards. Kira Knowles leads a top group. They have a chance for a state championship. She's only a sophomore. She's got a passer rating of 100. And Ella Reben, man, you're going to see her on stats for both sides of the ball. I'm going to talk about some other passers because I highlighted here everybody who's thrown for 2,000 yards in the state in both divisions. Claire Wilson, Thunder Ridge, steps in and does a great job for them. Addie Beck, 2,400 yards. Look at the passer rating for her, 95, 41 tutties and only 11 picks. Riley Berquist, VPP, 2,400 yards. Brooke Sullivan is a football player, crazy on defense, crazy good on offense. She can pass, catch, tackle, intercept. She can do everything. 91 passer rating for her, and she is a both sides of the ball standout. Reagan Clem, the Vanguard School, 2,200 yards. Jillian Cabral, 2,200 with her arm, and you're going to see some recognition for her soon for what she's done on the ground. She's a stud. Jay Cordova, holy moly. We were able to scrimmage them on a windy day down in Legend last Wednesday, and she is quick. She rolls out. She kind of makes that decision. She keeps her eyes up to kind of freeze you for a second, and then she darts and takes off with a crazy change of speed. 102 passer rating for Jay Cordova. Sadie Goodwin had an explosive year for Chatfield, 85 on the passer rating, 2,100 yards. Iris Duran, she had an interesting season. She is a standout lefty quarterback, but they're a two-quarterback system. I'll talk more about Denver South and how good they are a little bit later on, or actually next week when I talk about some of the other passers who stood out late in the season. So 105 passer rating for Iris Duran. Lacey Antonora for Elizabeth. Great season, 2,100 yards. Linda Archuleta, Mountain Range. And Maddie Walcott, just a freshman, if I remember correctly, 2,100 yards for her and 10 touchdowns. Let's talk about the regular season rushing leaders. Jaslyn Greenwood, Eagle Ridge Academy. They were a little up and down this year, but they had somebody who could move the sticks continually with 2,000 rushing yards and 19 touchdowns. Steffi Thomas can scramble away from pressure. Savannah Plumley does it all. She's like a mini Ariana Akey, a 4A version of Akey with Savannah Plumley. It's going to be fun to see what she does in the Final Four. Speaking of Final Four quarterbacks, you've got Jay Cordova with Pomona. You've got Caitlin Fujinami with North Glen. She had a great year. Ariana Akey, of course, almost 1,200 yards, 14 touchdowns. Add that to the 73 that she threw. That would be 87. Naomi Amachetta, and actually I say 87, but Akey's got more than that because she's got pick sixes. I wouldn't be surprised if she had punt return for a touchdown, but I know she's got a couple pick sixes. Eagle Crest quarterback, Naomi Amachetta, 1,000 yards. Emma Lamar, Denver North, had a big year. Lexi Brandon, Stanley Lake in their first year ever. Noah Harrison Palmer, Sadie Goodwin, almost 1,000 yards with her feet. Devajane Harper, Bruce Randolph, and Maria Gutierrez Benitez from Aurora West College Prep Academy. Let's talk about the regular season receiving letters. Holy crap, Lucy Thompson, 1,600 yards receiving and 25 touchdowns. Look at her yards per game. She had to miss a couple games for conflicts due to softball because she's also one of the state's best shortstops. And so that ends up to be 122 yards per game. She almost did the same numbers in the Sweet 16 and the Grade 8. She scored 2 touchdowns in each of those games. A little lower on the numbers because of how much teams focus on her, and that opens up so many other weapons for Legend. Marissa Van Gilder, Green Mountain, 100 yards a game, 29 touchdowns for the, I want to say 6'1", multi-sport standout. Ashlyn Callahan, you heard about her every week on the podcast on defense, special teams, and offense. Savannah Prinzo from her sister. Caroline Cummings, tough game on Saturday, but she is a stud and had a great year. Evelyn James from North Glen, a really good connection. Reagan Harder is a football stud on both sides of the ball. Man, she's good. She's a deep threat. She's a great cover player defensively in their defensive backfield for TCA. Carol Tamburini, Eagle Ridge Academy. Lindley McReynolds was a big-time target for Emerson Drake at Arvada West. Goretti Vasquez de Leon from VPP. Caroline Bain was very explosive for Lakewood. And Jessica Hopkins is a football player. She does it all for Mountain View. Watch for Jessica Hopkins in the Final Four in 4A. Other receiving leaders that are over 700 yards. Braylon Looney, of course, from Mountain Vista. She's a top target, 28 touchdowns. She's so dangerous on both extra points and in the red zone, as she's not just a target with some size, like she's got some height, but she has great hands and tremendous range. Vanessa Rodriguez, North Glen. Jenna Lee Chatfield had a big season. Madison Villada, Horizon. Santana Pena, you see her in the end zone almost every day. She had 16 touchdowns this year. Kaylee Besh, Mountain Vista. Brooklyn Blair, TCA. Sydney Ramirez from the Vanguard School. Dylan Moyer, Denver South. Sophia Abar, 774 yards receiving. Lila Ledford for Golden in their inaugural season has a dozen touchdowns. And Jordan Washington, the versatile standout. She can shoot threes. She can post you up. She can play quarterback. She can play receiver. She can do it all. She is a talented athlete for the Rebels. All right, so Abby Kirkpatrick from Grandview, very versatile. Jalen Nelson, Cherry Creek, Shelby, Colosimo, Ralston Valley. You're going to see her on Wednesday night. Leah James, North Glen. Salem Sherman, watch for the fade routes, 719 yards for the Wolverines. Eva Pipkin is a kid that just touched a football for the first time ever in April, and she's on the leaderboard. Ellie Johnson, Valor Christian. Sydney Matthews, Chaparral, 12 touchdowns. Shoot, I got to check her interception numbers. When you add the playoffs, I think she had about 4, maybe 5 interceptions on Saturday. She might have as many interceptions as she has touchdowns. Taylor Bradley, Arapahoe, and Ella LaChance Coronado. All right. Speaking of interceptions leaders, and again, this is just regular season. So Caroline Cummings from Northfield, congratulations, 26 interceptions. JC Sorrell, Eagle Crest, I've got a asterisk there because they seem to have like 19 games of stats, and I know that's not possible. They have a kid with like 80-some sacks, but they have 19 games logged, but only 6 of them are in max prep, so it's a little hard to decipher exactly where Eagle Crest is at. Faith Lucera, Foreman, Eagle Ridge Academy. Leah Gentry, Denver North with 19 picks. Shalini Matha, Stanley Lake helped them get control of the football. Isabella Hotman Pooter, they had a great season, and they almost knocked off Chatfield to get to the Sweet 16. Emma Gould, Elizabeth doing it on both sides of the ball. Brooke Sullivan from Grandview, she is a crazy good cover 2 defender. Ellie Buck Chatfield, 15 interceptions. Ava Martin Littleton, Ashlyn Bates, way to go, from Golden, 15 picks. And Jerica Thompson from TCA. The talent on this list is crazy. Next week, we're going to talk about the Final Four and the state championship recaps, more season standouts, highlights, full season numbers, not just regular season. I'm going to go through a lot more of these numbers in detail. Tackles, all-purpose yards, I mentioned. Your all-conference, your all-state names are coming soon. That might be a couple weeks, but you know that we're going to do an update on your all-state names once CHSAA finishes the championship season, and then we get the voting on all-state. Watch for a huge camp opportunity in November. That's November 24th, 25th at Sports Dome in Centennial. Watch for information on that. That is going to be a fun one, a 2-day camp at Sports Dome in Centennial. Any corrections or comments? DarrenPitzner@gmail.com. Hit me up. follow us. But hey, watch out. Flag football is a thing. Spread the word on what these awesome kids are doing. Thanks for listening. Thanks for sharing. Appreciate you guys following. Enjoy the Final Four. Good luck to the teams who are participating, except for Shap. No, I'm just kidding. Have fun, and we'll see you guys this week.